Welcome to another episode where we shall be looking at the mathematics grade 8 prediction for 2025 June examinations. Okay, so it's just going to be a one paper for the grade 8s, whereby the content is most likely to be term 1 as well as term 2's work. So which topics can we expect in the grade 8 June exam paper? Number 1, there's going to be, without any specific order, I'll just start with the integers. Okay, so we know that integers are positive and negative whole numbers, and then we just need to know how to work with integers. Number 2, we need to know about the exponents. Okay, number 3, there's something that we call the number patterns. Okay, that's numeric as well as geometric patterns. Number 4, something to do with the fractions. So in this, we're going to talk about the common as well as the decimal fractions. And then number 5, we expect to have something called functions and relations. So functions, or sometimes call it relationships. Okay. And then number 6, besides having all of this, we can have what we call the algebraic expressions. Algebraic expressions. And then lastly, we can have that first topic that was done in grade 8 with the LCM, to do with HCF, the ratios, the rates. That's more like their algebra. Okay, it's just simple algebra, and as much as we know that most of the topics here will be basic algebra. Now, the paper will range between 50 to even 75 or even 100. There's no problem with that. But in most cases, this paper is supposed to be a 60 mark question paper. Okay, but don't be sad when we give you a paper of 120. It all depends on how much the examiners have in plan. So this paper usually contains what we call the MCQ, the multiple choice questions, and these ones we normally limit them to just being 5. Okay, so these 5 will be having any of the topics that we've just listed below. Okay, so now I just want us to use this paper as a revision guideline, as a template. Okay, let's just hope your teachers don't get to see this paper. Okay, then we have section A. Section A, they're telling us that we have multiple choice. We need to choose the correct answer. So circle the letter of the correct answer. If you want to change your choice, you must put a cross through the wrong letter and then circle the new one. Okay. They want us to get the highest common factor of 24 and then 180. Now we have very many ways of how to get the highest common factor, but I'm going to use the ladder method. Okay. So that we don't waste a lot of time. So we can use the factor method, whereby you list the factors of 24, list the factors of 180, and then you look for what is the highest. Okay. You can also use the prime factorization, and then you also determine that. I'm using this because it's going to save my time. So let's say the number that we can use to divide 24 and 180 is a 2. We have a 12, and then a 19. We can use 2, that's going to be 6, and then a 45. And then by 3, we're going to have a 2 and probably 15. So these are the only numbers that can divide the two numbers. So the highest will be 4, or 2 times 2 times 3, which gives us a 12. So B becomes the correct option of interest. Then 1.2. They're telling us that some about a wedding gift online. Oh, okay. Was it from Timo? I don't know. Okay, so they're telling us that the price, excluding VAT, the price without VAT was 250 rands. what is the price with VAT included. Now, we know that currently the VAT percentage is 15%. There are two ways to this. We can get 15% of the 250. We get the answer, and then we plus the 250. Or we can get 115 straight away, and then we multiply by 250. I hope the question is in line with the 15%. Okay, so this is going to be a 37,50. Okay, and then when you plus this together, you're gonna get something like 287,5. If I use this second one, 115 divided by 100, we're multiplying it by 250, which is still 287,50. So the correct answer is option C. Okay, then 1.3, calculate. Okay, so we have more than one sign, so we can apply the BODMAS if you want. Okay, so we have, let's say, 40 divided by 8 is going to be 5. No? And then 5 times -5, that's going to give us a -25. That's if we use the BODMAS. Brackets of division first, and then you go to multiplication. Now, somebody will say, now what happens if I start with the multiplication first? Because if you multiply this and this, you're going to get a -40, and then when you divide, you get a -1, which is sort of incorrect as far as the priorities are concerned. Okay, so that is what we have there. Then 1.4. The following relationship between x and y is provided. Okay, we have 7 into x plus 10. The correct word formula for the relationship, now this is going to be, for us to get the output, now the output is representing the y. You get the input, which is the x. Okay, this is the input. So the input times 7 plus 10, this is wrong. The input plus 10, this is also wrong. So the input plus 10 times 7. So option D is the correct option, okay, because x is the input plus 10 then times 7. Then the following algebraic expression is provided. The like terms in the expressions are, now what are like terms? Like terms are basically terms that have the same variables, in other words, the same letters with the same exponents. So we're seeing just the 7x squared and the 2x squared. So those are the only like terms we have for this particular expression. So the 2 is negative, the 7 is positive. So option A is the best. Okay, so those are the 5 marks that we would have obtained. Then question number 2, which is numbers, operations, and relationships. So whole numbers. So that topic that I called algebra is basically supposed to be the whole numbers. Telling us that the ratio of cats to dogs at a pet shop is 5:3. So 5 is for the cats, dogs. So if we have 135 dogs, how many cats are there in the shop? We must show all the calculations. So if it's 5:3, this 135 is for the dogs. I'll put 135 there, and then I'll have the x there. And so what we do, just get the side with both sides known. So it's gonna be like 135 over 3, and then times 5. Okay. Alternatively, I'm gonna show you another alternative way of getting that. And then we divide by 3, we end up with 225. Other alternative way is learners are told to cross multiply. Something like that, so that we have 5 times 135 is equal to 3x, then divide both sides by 3. So we should end up with just the same answer, 225 for 2 marks. All right, 2.2. We have a toy car that is costing 3.4 rands. The shop requires a 12% deposit, and then the rest must be paid over a 4-year period with an interest rate of 9% simple interest. Calculate the amount to be paid for the car. Now, this is a hire purchase question. Number one, how do we go about this? Because they want us to get the total amount to be paid. Okay, let's start with the deposit. How much was paid for the deposit? So 12 over 100 times 3.4. Okay, because 12% is 12 over 100. So this is going to be 3.4. Use your calculator to get this, please. We have 408. And then we need to get the balance. It's going to be 3.4 minus 408. 3.4 minus 408 gives us 2992. Okay. Then the interest amount. Okay, let me use the simple interest formula. Because now this is going to be our P. This is more like the loan amount. So it's 2992 into 1 plus. The interest is 9%, 9 over 100. For how long? For a period of 4 years. So how much must be paid in total? So 2992 to 1 plus 9 over 100 times 4. So this gives me a 4069.12. So you need to pay this as a result of the interest, but you must also pay the deposit as well. So the total to be paid is 4069.12 plus 408. Okay, so plus 408, meaning that you're going to pay 4,477.12. So this is what you're going to pay in total. So if only you had the cash, you were going to be paying 3.4. But since you're using a loan option, you end up paying slightly more. Okay, so we have integers. They're telling us we must state whether the following statement is true or false. So 15 minus 20. So a negative next to a negative must give us a positive. Here they are showing us a negative. So this statement is false. Okay. Simplify, we must show all the calculations. So this is going to be like a negative 12 plus, when you multiply these two, you're going to get a negative 26. Then a positive and a negative together will give us a negative. When we simplify that, we end up with a negative 38. So you get a mark for changing the sign and then get a mark for your final answer. Then 3.3. They want us to state whether the following statement is true or false. Provide an example to support your answer. Okay, so what is the statement saying? We're being told that adding a negative number to a positive number has the same effect as subtracting a natural number from a positive number. Okay, let's just use numbers to check this out. Adding a negative number, let's say negative 5, to a positive number, I'm going to say 10. Okay. What do we get here? We get a 5. No? Is it the same effect as subtracting a natural number from the positive number? Subtracting a natural number. I'm not sure if they are referring to the same numbers or what. So let's say we're using the natural number, which is 10. We're subtracting a positive number, which is 5. So this is just going to give us the same one, the same result. So the statement is going to be true according to these two numbers. So it's like swapping this around. It should be just the same thing. Okay, then we have the common and the decimal fractions. We're being told that we need to simplify by showing all the calculations. Okay. And so what normally people do is they try to add out the whole numbers first, or subtract and do whatever. So it's just a 1 plus a 2. So 1 plus 2 is a 3. Now, I dislike this kind of approach because many times learners tend to leave out this 3 after doing the addition. Okay. I'm left with 1 over 4 minus 3 over 5 plus 1 over 6. Now the question is going to be, we can start by looking for the LCD or the LCM. Okay, which number can multiply through here? 20, nope, cannot multiply by, cannot be divided by 6. That's gonna be 16. Yeah, it's going to be 60. I'll show people another way if you don't want to use the 60. So for me to get a 60 by 15 and then by 15, this is going to be by 12, by 12, by 10, by 10. So that's going to be 15 over 60 minus 36 over 60 plus 10 over 16. Okay. Then what's going to happen next? There's the trouble now. There is the trouble. Okay, we can plus this and this to have a 25 over 60 minus 36 over 60. So we're going to get a negative 11 over 60 as our final answer. But then we already have a 3 here. So if I get 3 minus 11 over 60, we can cross multiply. That's going to be 180 minus 11 over 60. What do we get there? So 180 minus 11, I'm getting 169 over 60. So 169 over 60, if I simplify it further, I end up with 2 whole numbers and something. How many 60s are there? Okay, so 60s, same times 2. That's 120. Okay, so it's 2 whole numbers, 49 over 60. That is one approach. Okay. The other approach is if we just convert these things to improper fractions. Let me try to do that and we see. So this is gonna be 4 times 1 plus 1, which is a 5 over 4 minus a 3 over 5. If I try to simplify this first, I'm gonna use the butterfly method. That's gonna be a 25 minus 12 over 20. So this is gonna be 13 over 20. I'm plussing this, and this is 12, which is 13 over 6. Still, let's use the butterfly and see. What's 13 times 6? That is going to be a 7, 8. A 7, 8 plus 260 over 120. So 260 and 78 gives me 338 over 120. So 338 over 120, I'm getting just the same thing. 169 over 60, which is 12 numbers, 49 over that. Okay, so that is how we would have approached that. 4.2. A sweet costs 12.5 per kilogram. What will 2 commas cost? So this is going to be like 12.50 multiplied by 2.75. So 12.50 5 multiplied by 2,75, 12.5 multiplied by, so getting 34,34,38. And this becomes the final answer. 4.3. The original price of a car is 215. If the price is increased to 290, what is the percentage increase? So for us to get the percentage increase, we normally follow something like the new price minus the old price over the old price times 100. Okay, so that's going to be the new price, which is 290 minus 250 divided by 250 and then times 100%. Okay, you can punch this into your calculator straight away. So we have 290 minus 250 over the 250, which gives us a 16% increment. Okay, then question number 5, which is the exponents. Write the following in exponential form. So it's 1 over 2 times 1 over 2 times 1 over 2. So this is going to be like 1 over 2 to the exponent of 3. Then state whether the following is true or false. So if we have 2 exponents, we multiply the exponents so that it is 2 to the exponent of 12. So this is true. And then simplify the following, must show the calculations. So 4 squared is the same as 4 times 4. Plus, which number do we multiply 3 times to give us 125? Is going to be a 5. Minus 2 to the 5 is 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. So 4 by 4 is 16 plus 5 minus 32. This becomes a 21 minus 32. Okay, which is negative 11. This becomes our answer. 5.4. Are telling us that 2 grade 8 learners were given this statement to simplify. Negative 3 squared times negative 3 to the 3. The learner A simplified it as follows. So this learner said, since the bases are the same, the learner multiplied the exponents and got this answer. How about learner B? Learner B simplified it in this format. They multiplied the bases and then they added the exponents. So explain the error that was made by learner A. Now, whenever we are multiplying numbers with the same bases, we must add up the exponents. Okay, so the learner multiply the exponents instead of adding them. So this is the mistake that this learner made. Then learner B also made a mistake. When you're working out this, yes, the learner B added the exponents correctly, but he multiplied the bases, which was wrong. Explain the error made by learner B. He multiplied the bases. He multiplied the bases together. This was wrong. Okay, then provide the correct solution. So we're going to keep the base, okay? And then we plus that. So 2 plus 3, which is going to be like negative 3 to the 5. So this is the correct solution. Okay, then section C, which is patterns, functions, as well as the algebra. So they are telling us that a pattern is made up of matchsticks, as shown. Okay, good. Then they ask us to use the pattern to complete the table. So figure number 1 is having 6 matchsticks. So and talk about the outside size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Figure 2 has 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as well as 11. So we use 11 sticks just to come up with that and so on. So what I can see is that from 6, there's a 5. From 11, there's a 5, which means we are basically adding 5, 5, 5. The question is asking us to write down the rule that describes. Write down the rule that describes. So the rule is normally known as the nth term, which is also known as the general term. So for us to get the rule, we can say Tn is equal to, get that, which is 5 with n, and then we subtract this. 6 minus 5 is a 1. So we only do the subtraction of the first term together with the difference then. So this becomes our answer. All right, then how many matrices are needed for figure 25? So where there is n, we're going to replace it with 25. Remember, this n represents the position of the term. So it's going to be T25. It's going to be 5 multiplied by 25 plus 1. 25 and that, I'm going to get 125 plus 1, which gives me 126 sticks. Okay. Then 6.1.4, is it possible for any figure in the pattern to be formed using 201 sticks? Use the calculations to support. So let's try and find the position. Now, if our answer is a whole number, then yes, we can find a figure. But if the answer is a decimal or a fraction, then it's not. So let's move the one that side. It's going to be a subtraction, which is 201 minus 1. So 5n is 200 divided by 5 divided by 5, meaning that our n is a 14. Is it possible for any figure in the pattern to be formed using this? The answer is a yes. Answer is a yes. Okay, then question number 7, functions and relationships. Consider the statement below. They are telling us that negative 8 is being added to 4 times the input number. They want us to use the statement to complete the table. So if you get negative 8, you add it to 4 times 1. What do we get? So negative 8 plus 4, this gives us a negative 4. And then what do we do to end up with 8 as our answer? So we need to move backwards. Okay. Now, since we are timesing, we need to divide. So I'm going to get 8 divided by 4, which is a 2. Now, instead of adding, I'm going to subtract. So subtract negative 8. So this is going to give me a 10. Meaning that if I got negative 8 plus 10 multiplied by, what am I saying? Say negative 8 plus 4 multiplied by the input. Does it make sense, this one? What did I do wrong? It's not making sure, this one. It's not making sure. People are saying, nope, 10 cannot. It's too big. Let's revisit it again and see. Okay, so remember, we're moving backwards. That is for sure. So we have negative 8 plus 4 times the input. This must give us 8. So instead of dividing, let's start with the last step, which is the addition, which is going to be 16. And then we shall divide by 4, which is going to be a 4. So instead of subtracting here, we're going to add, and then we divide. So we're saying that the correct answer here is a 4. Let's try and see. Negative 8 plus 4 times 4. Yeah, that's correct. And then if we have 5, it's going to be negative 8 plus 4 times 5, which is 20 minus 8, which is a 12. Then if we have a 44, it's going to be 44 plus 8, which is a 52, divided by 4, it becomes a 13. Okay, so that's how this question would have been answered. Then 7.2, the formula below is used to calculate the cost of hiring a caravan. Okay, D indicates the number of days, and then P is the number of people. We must use this formula, get the hiring cost for the caravan for 3 days for 7 people, meaning that our C is going to be 400. P is for the number of people plus 500 times the number of days. So this is 2.8 plus 1.5. What do we get? So 2.8 plus 1.5, which is 4.3, 4,300. So that is what you end up with. Then 7.2, if a family hires the caravan for 5 people and it cost it 7.5, how many days did they hire? So where they see, I'll put a 7.5. Let me write the formula out first. Okay, so 7.5 is equal to 400 times 5 people plus 500D. So 7.5, when I multiply that, is going to give me 2,000 plus 500D. Let me move the 2,000 to that side, which is going to give me 5.5 is equal to 500D. Divide by 500, we divide by 500. So our D becomes 11. So these people are going to hire the caravan for good 11 days. All right, then lastly, we have the algebraic expressions. They're telling us to answer the questions related to the following. First question, how many terms are there? So it's 1, 2, and 3. So terms are separated using a subtraction or addition. So we're going to say we have 3 terms. Then what is the value of the constant? So a constant is a number without a letter. So this together with a sign. So it's a positive 22. And then write down the coefficient of x squared. So coefficient is what comes before x squared. This number here. So it can be a number or a letter. So it's negative 3. And then write down the expression in ascending. So ascending is from the smallest powers of x. So the smallest, if this was to be looked at, is going to be 22, followed by x, then minus 3x squared. So this would have been maybe x to the 0, x to the 1, x to the 2. But we don't have x to the 0 there because it should be a 1 there. Okay, so that is what we would have done there. Then 8.2, they want us to simplify. Now, when you simplify, you only add or subtract what we call the like terms. So collect the like terms, going to be 9x minus 2x plus 2y plus 5y. So this is 7x plus 7y. That becomes our final answer. Then 8.2.2, still collect the like terms. I can see negative 35. This is x squared y. There is x squared y here. This is xy. This is also xy. This one doesn't have any like term. So collect the like terms. Negative 35 x squared y plus 25 x squared y. We're saying 14xy minus 10xy. We are subtracting 24x cubed y squared. Okay. Then when I simplify this, I have a negative 10 x squared y. When I must subtract this, I'm going to have a 4 but xy and then 24x cubed y squared. So this becomes our final answer because whatever we left with, they are not like terms. So guys, that's where we stop with this paper. So judging paper should have more or less the same structure like this scope of ours, okay? Something to do with algebraic expressions where you need to count the terms, find the coefficients, the constant terms. They can even ask you for the degree of the expression, whereby degree of expression simply means the biggest exponent, which is a 2. Okay, and then at some point they can even tell you that you must find the value of this expression if maybe x is a 2. So replace x with a 2 so that you have something like 2 minus 3 into 2 squared plus a 22, and then you simplify this. Okay, so those are just some of the questions that would have been asked for algebraic expressions. Then the simplifying like terms, that is the trick. Just use the like terms and then simplify your expressions. All right, so that is that. And that brings us to the end of this prediction. So I wish you guys all the best in your preparations. If there are any questions, please feel free to slot them in the comment section. Yeah, where we made mistakes, errors, please just help us and correct me. We're human and we're bound to make such errors, but we try our best to always give the best, okay? So let's meet again when we are looking at the proposed memorandums of some of the papers that you guys would have written. And if it's your first time on this channel, please feel free to subscribe and follow just for more updates. Thank you. Bye-bye.